Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. I always make this mistake where I record a video on a topic, and I end up focusing too hard on one element of the video, and I might miss a point that I wanted to talk about in the video in the pre-preparation, or I'll forget to mention or reference a clip, which I thought to be quite important to the whole point of the video. Now, usually when I forget to pivot towards a certain point, or forget to include a certain clip in a video, I'll scrap the clip and say, oh well, it is what it is. But this time I think I'm going to take that clip that I missed in the previous video covering the Trump interview on Meet the Press, and we'll make a brand new video here, because I think the moment that we're going to touch on today helps make a point that I've been trying to make for a while. I guess let's start off the video by saying this right here is why they don't want Donald Trump to speak. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so what's the most dangerous thing to a Democrat? Well, obviously you know the answer to that one, it's the truth. They don't want Donald Trump to speak because when Trump speaks, the truth gets exposed. The truth of just how ridiculous all of their witch hunts, their little, blip on the radar news stories have been. Right here is the perfect example.
In our conversation, he directly contradicted the sworn testimony of one of his aides who testified to the January 6th committee that the former president was so determined to go to the Capitol himself after his rally that he grabbed a Secret Service agent inside the president's limo. Take a listen.
I wanted to go down peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol. The Secret Service, who I have great respect for, said, sir, it's better if you don't do that. It could be unsafe. Because they didn't mean because of riots, because, it takes one guy with bad intentions, okay? So I didn't have a dispute with them. You had that one person said, I grabbed the man around the neck. Actually, I wish I was so strong to be able to do that. These are all tough guys, smart guys.
Dispute that account.
Dispute it? Who wouldn't dispute it? She's the craziest account I've ever heard. You mean that I was in the Beast, and she said I was in the Beast, and the Secret Service didn't win. So I took a guy who was like a black belt in karate and grabbed his neck and tried to choke him.
What happened?
How ridiculous. Just so you understand, and I have great respect for Secret Service, by the way. They're fantastic. The Secret Service said, sir, it would be better if you did. And I said, I'd love to do it. They said it would be better until we went back to the White House. Just so you understand. I spoke, I made a very nice speech.
That's the problem with the news cycle these days. It's so freaking hectic. It's so nonstop. There's so much nonsense, so much garbage dropping every single day that you have these stories that you kind of forget about. It wasn't even really that long ago. I think it was probably towards the end of 2022 where this ridiculous character came out with this ridiculous story. The ridiculous character, of course, known as Cassidy Hutchinson, the woman who made this claim during her official testimony at the January 6th committee.
The president said something to the effect of, I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now. To which Bobby responded, sir, we have to go back to the West Wing. The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol. Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel.
Donald Trump lunged for the steering wheel. The man's an absolute psychopath. He's crazy and he needed to go back for more. It's such a ridiculous claim that Donald Trump on January 6th went frickin' Rambo mode and started taking on Secret Service agents. It's arguably one of the craziest false narratives that's ever been promoted in the mainstream media, and we just forget about it. We move on. It simply disappears from the collective discussion. But then, of course, when Donald Trump is interviewed one-on-one, when he has these moments, it comes back up. And you're just sitting there watching, going, oh yeah, it's true. That did happen. They did try to do that. They literally tried to convince the American people that Donald Trump has super stretchy arms like Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece, or Dalsim from Street Fighter. All the nerds watching the video know exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone else probably confused, but essentially you get it. Essentially, Donald Trump had super stretch elastic superpowers where he was able from the back of the beast to stretch across the limo, assault a Secret Service agent, try to grab the wheel and spin the car around to go back to the Capitol so he could lead his insurrection. It's completely freaking insane. And when you see Donald Trump being asked that question point blank, and him responding, how he should, addressing the completely unserious nature of this ridiculous claim, it really starts to put things into perspective. You start to look back and all the gaslighting surrounding Donald Trump and Trump supporters really starts to be clearly exposed. It's kind of like a hindsight effect that I think we're currently seeing. During the 2020 election, everything was so day by day. The rhetoric was so divisive and extreme, and Donald Trump was the incumbent president, so there wasn't much to really look back on, other than, I guess, a rose-tinted glasses view of the Obama administration. Well, now it seems like the exact opposite effect is happening. There's a 2020 hindsight view looking back 4 years ago, where people are thinking to themselves, you know what, yeah, things were pretty good. You know what, some of the crazy stuff that they accused Donald Trump of actually was the more insane stuff, was much more insane than what Donald Trump was actually doing. The claims, the salacious nonsense, the constant gaslighting and false narratives and propaganda seems a lot more clear in 2023 than it did in 2019 to 2021, let's say. When it's happening in the moment, you kind of just go with the flow, or, some people do. But then once you have time to let it sink in, once you have time to think about it, and then when you get slapped in the face with the clear and obvious dynamic during a TV moment that's being broadcasted to millions of people, then it all starts to come into perspective. It all starts to become really quite clear. It makes sense why they don't want him to speak. It makes sense why they're doing what they're doing. And speaking of doing what they're doing, Donald Trump scorches deranged Jack Smith in response to proposed gag order.
We had this prosecutor, deranged Jack Smith. Has anyone ever heard of him? I wonder what his name used to be. Jack Smith. Sounds so nice, doesn't it? He's a deranged individual, and he wants to take away my First Amendment rights. They went to court to get an order that I can't speak. Now, you got to understand, I'm the leading candidate by 50 points, and I'm leading Biden by a lot. And they want to see if they can silence me. So the media, the fake news, will ask me a question. I'm sorry, I won't be able to answer that. How do you think we do in that election? So we're going to have a little bit of a fun with that, I think, because that's a tough one. Can you imagine?
They want so badly to shut Donald Trump up. They want so badly to stop him from being able to speak. And the clip that I showed you guys just a little bit earlier is exactly why they're so desperate to shut him up. It's why they're so desperate to pursue a gag order. Because when Donald Trump speaks, or when the truth is clearly exposed, when the propaganda is clear and evident, their narrative falls apart, and that's of course when Donald Trump is his strongest. Donald Trump lunged across the beast, assaulted a Secret Service agent, supposedly grabbed the steering wheel and tried to spin the car around. Yeah, sure. Those are the exact moments that make you realize just how insane these anti-Trump narratives really are. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Probably a quick video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got something from it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.